Hi, it's me, Alisa, and this is...
Hi, I'm Abby.
And welcome back to my channel. On this channel, they bring together IFS, the metaphysical, the energetic, and creative expression to help you, wherever you are, on your healing journey to write and create your story. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about recovery, because that's why I started my company, really. I've talked about The House of Weird, the book I wrote for kids who are growing up in addiction and dysfunction, which you know the book. But I wanted to dive more into those dynamics because last Friday, like the day after we did the video, I think, I went to our holiday party at the board I volunteer for, DECODE, which is the Delaware Association for Children of Alcoholics. And I was like reminded of it like big time. And it was actually I kind of wish there was more of like the point that children's voices could be heard. In fact, I had 2 reminders sort of boom boom that day of how the dynamics of addiction affect children. And when I wrote the book, I remember what kind of sparked it was my son just saying to me, Mom, it's just weird. And then when we were talking tonight, again, it's that weirdness, but it gets so accepted that the person who questions it becomes the problem. It's almost like, they're weird, what's wrong with you? But that kid, that honest kid, gets angry. And then I remember writing in my journal at the meeting, there's the angry kid, the lost kid, the kid that feels forgotten. I mean, and these are just parts later in life. These are the parts, right? The protectors or the exiles, or these are just the parts, because the essence of who we are starts to get blocked almost to protect that, until you just feel broken, because it's really, you've just been fractured into so many different parts, is what I feel like. And that's the reason I started this company to begin with, is to give this voice to kids who couldn't, to those who couldn't speak yet.
Right.
With the hope that they would know somebody knew what it was like. And at the meeting, unfortunately, there weren't that many volunteers out there, or even anybody who really knows about this organization, because I'm by far the youngest by 30 years.
Yes.
In fact, I became the secretary simply because I can hear. And they're already looking at maybe merging and helping get the word out really through indirect means. And that made me sad, because I was but when I talked to somebody else, it was kids in schools, literally kids.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about it, I was I think we need to maybe do the video on this.
Yeah.
And so I know that's kind of an odd segue, weird, but that's the kind of the video tonight.
The point of the video is just some weirdness. So yeah, in talking tonight about some just dynamics that became very obvious in some of my current challenging situations, and just the simple fact where it's some of the main challenge is the weird dynamics that I'm now questioning as an adult, or kind of becoming more aware of and questioning well, why is it such that just because you're being nice and accepting, you need to acknowledge that.
Why do you expect a parade?
Yeah.
And for being normal.
Yeah. And so that's the weirdness. It's wait, why is it weird to be nice? Or why is it almost the opposite? It's why is I'm realizing that sometimes there are certain dynamics in place that it's like, it's normal to sometimes not be so nice or not be so happy for other people. And as someone who's now done some work, like, that's weird. I notice, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so weird.
Right.
And so I, not to keep reusing your
No,
word,
it's perfect.
but like, yeah, it's weird. And so being someone who's grown up in certain dynamics, becoming normalized and then doing some work and realizing those things, like, it becomes very obvious, kind of that dysfunction piece that you were talking about. And so when you're trying to make certain adjustments to boundaries or certain interactions, I've been getting a lot of pressure from the outside to do certain things and
to stay in the dysfunctional dynamic so that they don't have to move out of it.
Yeah. So I'm feeling pressure from outside, and then also pressure from my parts that are like, but why? Like, at what is this going to cost? Like, so lots of parts kind of balancing certain, it's almost like a consequence of a certain action. You know what I mean? It's either going to cost out here or it's going to cost in here. And so right now there's certain parts that aren't still sure what to do, but there's also a sense where it's like there's not a wrong choice at this point. I just have to kind of listen and know that whatever the choice is, that it will be okay. Like, that I've got me almost.
Right. Yeah. And that's hard because when the people out here really need you to be like the way they need you to be, because they're looking for an anchor, because it makes them feel
okay in the weird.
Yeah, well, they need you to stay this way, so because it throws them out of homeostasis or out of balance. So, and those parts are like, are we really going to be okay? Right? So it's all about having an anchor, just like you're saying, and that's, so like really quickly, I'll give like an analogy if that's okay. Like, because I call my book The House of Weird, right? And it's so interesting because I've been using this analogy for self-energy. A house, right, may have many rooms, right? And you could think of the rooms in the house as parts, right? And you have walls and windows, could be like other little parts. But a house isn't necessarily a home. A home is a feeling in essence, right? And that is self-energy. Right. And so, but every room can have the feeling of home in it. And this is coming from somebody who moved her whole life. Yeah. Right. And so you bring home with you, and every part can have self-energy. So home isn't weird. The house may be. So and those are the burdens that are carried that makes it weird. Yeah. So when we can bring home back to those parts, it doesn't matter what's in other people's houses. Yeah. Does that make sense? Because they're not they don't give us home. We do. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Yeah.
I'm glad it makes sense as a part.
Yeah.
Because it's not called the Home of Weird. It's called the House of Weird. Yeah. So I hope that helped a little bit for your part.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Good. Nice.
I'm glad that's a good closing.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this video. If you liked it, please hit like. If you'd like the book, I'll actually put a link in there. And thank you for being here, Abby, and sharing so openly.
Thank you.
And we'll be back soon for another video.
All right.
So hit the subscribe so you don't miss it.
All right.